You're listening to Radio 1 Wednesday night with me, Benji B. I'm very happy to say that it is a special edition of Album Mode tonight because I am joined by none other than Twigs. How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
It's great to see you again.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
It's been a minute. And it's been a while that we've been having these chats, so I can't believe it's like over a decade, as we were just saying off mic, since I first played your demos on Radio 1, probably more than a decade now.
Yeah, you've always been very supportive of me, thank you.
And what a journey it's been from here until now.
Yeah.
I should say that we're sitting in a spot in Paris, and you've managed to fit in a chat for Album Mode in the middle of this incredible album run that is about to happen, because we're actually recording this on the eve of the release of your album. It comes out tomorrow.
Yes.
How are you feeling about that?
So excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming, right?
Yeah, it has. I think this project feels so raw and so at the core of myself that I'm really excited to let it go and let other people kind of hold it now.
So it's your third studio album, it says here, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. And so I know that we've spoken over the last few years, and I know that it's been in the works, but I haven't been clear on what the process is, because I know it's got a very specific place that it comes from.
Yeah, well, I found myself living in Prague for a few months, and I ended up going out. I think my makeup artist Lauren was like, there's this club, like someone's DM'd me saying we should go, and I'm like, okay, great. So we went out, and I went to a club. It was called Fuch 2 in Prague, and my whole life changed. I felt like I discovered a side of myself that I had left behind for a really long time.
Wow.
I'd never really been to a rave that was not aware of itself being a rave.
Perfectly put. 100%. As someone that spent my life in sort of clubland and nightlife, I do agree that in a way there's a self-awareness to doing a warehouse rave where you're essentially trying to capture the energy of what it would have been to have had to do a warehouse rave, because that was the only option. Exactly.
You're in a warehouse rave trying to replicate what it would be to make a warehouse rave.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So you felt basically not stumbled across, but arrived at something which was sort of like pure in its intent, and it wasn't kind of pretentious, basically.
Yeah. I had arrived at that point. I felt like I'd managed to stab through and enter through the membrane into something untouched culturally and unbothered culturally and completely raw and utilitarian. And to be there that night felt like a way that I hadn't felt going out in a really long time. I hadn't felt going out was a necessity for a really long time. I felt that going out was a flex or a time to posture or a time to go and like see what's happening or check something out, you know. But I arrived in this room and everybody was there purely to be together culturally in that moment, to let something go or to bring something in or discover something new, and it was incredible. Yeah,
I mean, it's so refreshing to hear that that's still possible, because ultimately I really do relate to what you're talking about. I mean, it's a cocktail of the music, the environment, the people that are around. You're not there necessarily to meet other people. You're not there to necessarily go and hook up with people or catch out. There's a social element, but the focus is the music or the creativity. Is that fair?
Totally, yeah. The focus, although everybody was there together and we all needed each other in that moment, it felt like the impetus was coming from being totally in your own awareness in the most beautiful way, like just like no judgment on other people or yourself. I mean, I understand that I do sound like a self-help book right now, and I keep on specifically through these interviews trying to find ways to describe it that don't sound that way, but it's really hard in society right now just to find a moment to stop just the noise, the scrolling, the chatter, the images. You know, we go out and you're just completely bombarded with adverts and flashing lights, and if you're not looking at your phone, you find yourself looking over someone's shoulder at their phone on the tube or whatever, you know. I mean, I do. I'm like, right, I'm not going to go on my phone. Then I sit next to someone there on their phone. I think, oh, you lol, like a cat holding a balloon. That's funny, you know. And it's just like this constant, I think it's called like popcorn brain. Just these like, it's like images and the most serious political movement in the whole world flipping to like a dog eating a bit of cheese with a mustache on. You know, and it's just like this constant overstimulation and you know, I've always thought, I mean, everyone's brains are weird, but I've always thought my brain is like weird, and I've always quite liked it that way. And I've felt over the past 5 years that I just started to lose a side of myself.
Talking of having those album experiences, you know, you're someone obviously over the years with not least the Magdalene Project and clearly this, that really has a love affair with the format of the album, and that's what this feature is about. It's about celebrating that format, and we call it album mode so that we get to talk to the artist directly and understand the flow of the album and why these, you know, collection of music fits together basically. So with that said, if you had to pick a track that really takes you back to the early days of that inception, that first like genesis moment of being struck by lightning in Prague, what track should we play?
Keep It, Hold It.
What is the meaning of the word Eusexua?
Well, Eusexua is a word that I didn't feel, or it's a feeling that I didn't feel had a word, and I experienced it on the dance floor in Prague. And for me, it's a very specific moment of pure human experience and clarity, and that I have examples I can tell you. So one example that I use is it's a moment before an orgasm. Mm-hmm. Another example would be the moment before a really good idea. Mm-hmm. Now, to orgasm or have a really good idea, you actually can't be in your head too much. Yeah. So it's this moment of being, and this moment of it's like perfectly, the emotion is the equivalent of perfectly room temperature, tasteless water. Yeah. You know, it's like that, but it's the human feeling of that, which I think is so rare. And I just wanted to be able to invent a word that could be used to describe that moment, because I think it's almost going to go into extinction, that moment of nothingness. Like it's like the dodo, or like a rare tiger that now doesn't exist anymore, because humans were not allowed to have that. Like I said, with screens and politics and lies and truth and just like the general sort of navigation system of what it is to have even an original idea these days, it feels quite impossible at times to really have that clarity without setting it up for yourself.
Yeah, 100%. And that, you know, connects so much to what you're talking about. I feel like we've come to this point where we're looking for, collectively, whether we are conscious of it or not, we're looking for presence, we're looking for focus, we're looking to be able to flow again, we're looking for that connection again. Because I won't speak for you or anyone else, but I know for me, if I'm really honest, my capacity for focus itself has waned over the last few years. My capacity to be in flow, which is what you do when you're doing any kind of art, whether it's making music, writing a book, DJing, whatever, that's the state that we're looking for. And I feel that it's massively impaired by our experience of exactly what you're talking about before, of distraction. So can I change my behavior to be more in presence so that I'm not as distracted by it, which sounds like to find Eusexua, basically, to be in that moment, which seems like maybe the generation before us experienced much more frequently because they weren't fused with this device.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I experienced it very late because, not having it very late, because I just didn't have a laptop at home until I think my early 20s, and I didn't have internet as well for a long time at home.
Wow, yeah.
So I felt that I really was able to get into my early 20s without too much sort of screen distraction, and with generally being very active just within culture through my dancing and stuff. You have to go and do that. You can't, well, I was going to say you can't learn dance moves through a screen, but now you can. But in my day you couldn't. You would have to actively fly somewhere or travel somewhere, or a group of people would have to meet up to experience that movement in their body. And so what are the steps to us finding Eusexua together? Community and subcultures. I'm so deep in my like community and subculture bag right now. I mean, I have always been, you know, like a lot through movement, actually, through voguing, through crumping, through, you know, then wushu or pole dancing. Like I've always been so deeply humbled and invigorated by the inspiration that one can get from just geeking out about something really specific and finding other like-minded individuals that can do that with you. And for me, dance music, it saved me. Subcultures, they save you. And I'm not talking about try on the look for a day. I'm talking about, what do you like? Like, what do you like? How does the way that you dress and the way that you move make liking that music or being with that group of people easy from a very practical point of view? And that's what I discovered in Prague. The kids there would, the way they would dress was so cool because it was purely for the focus of moving. I was humbled, and I felt, like I just, the years of going to all these amazing places, I've just like lost something which is actually like a real important part of who I am. And it's been amazing being able to regain that and reclaim that part of me.
I literally have just heard the album in full today. Obviously, we've been playing Drums of Death a lot at the end of last year. But one track that really stood out, which I know there's a video coming soon as well, Brian just told me, is a track called Striptease.
Burning me feels like a striptease. Burning me feels like a striptease. Sick for my tears and loose for my fears. I'm stripping my heart till my pain disappears. Tell me about that one. Striptease was an interesting one, actually, because every step of the way Striptease was always a nightmare.
All right.
Yeah, like my collaborators just never really liked it too much. Like, I don't know, it was this weird thing. I was like, no, there's really something in it, and to get it over the line, you know, I'm always someone like, I'm so into shouting out my collaborators, but Striptease, I dragged her over the line. And like, people were not listening to me, and I'm like, no, you don't understand it. This is the one. This is like the actual one. And it happened in such incremental steps where people will come in and just add in one hi-hat that sounded good. The rest of it would just be one good hi-hat, and then everything else was not good. And I'd be like, okay, just save the hi-hat, you know? And I don't know, but it's really, I feel, such an opus for me as an artist. I really feel that it's such like a, you know, sometimes you have moments in your career and it's like a stake in the snow or in the land, you know, to a point, and that's how I feel about Striptease, because it's also very honest for me. It's kind of it's about womanhood, really, for me. It's about like maybe somebody thinking they like the idea of me, but when you strip it back, it's not gonna be what you think it is. You know, like at this point I'm like, if you want me to strip for you, like there's gonna be tears, there's gonna be anger, there's gonna be life experience, there's gonna be hurt, there's gonna be a lot of beautiful things too, but it's not gonna be like some lacy and summer pants at this point.
It's not the avatar.
It's not the avatar.
It's not the projection.
No, it's 100% not at this point. And it's about me finding a lot of beauty in that through the song and through the visual as well, which I'm really proud of. It's
like interesting that you have to go to somewhere that might feel quote unquote as off-grid from the international merry-go-round of things as Prague to find it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Totally.
How did you end up there?
I was shooting The Crow. And
wow, okay.
Yeah, and I had to move there for prep, and yeah, so I was there. There was no getting out. That's where I was.
And so obviously every genre that's ever kind of emerged or subculture, you can't force that. You just have to create an environment that could potentially incubate something, right? But how do we do that together? How do we do that again in 2025?
Oh, you're asking me that question.
Yeah, because in a way you just made an album about it.
Maybe it's about following the way something feels and not always how it looks. Maybe it's about following the way something feels rather than what people have to say about it. Maybe it's about following the way something feels rather than the likes or the adulation or the clout. Maybe it's about following the way that something feels rather than filming it, looking at it through a screen. If it's in front of you, look at it in real life. Maybe it's about following the way people make you feel instead of what they can get for you or what they can, the social climbing aspect of social media and what that is. Some people that make you feel good just aren't that popular at all, and maybe those people that you don't perceive to be that popular, maybe they have a secret, and maybe that secret is a song that you've not heard yet, or a way of dressing, or an idea. Ideas are really incredible when they're strong and when they're different, when they're individual. So I think just following the feeling, and obviously I made a whole album about a feeling called Eusexua now, and that was made from following the way something made me feel instead of the perception that I had, which was techno music.
Yeah,
I just had to go and experience it in a certain time, in a certain place, and have an open mind.
Another song that really stood out to me today on first listen was this tune called Sticky.
Yeah, for me the lyrics on Sticky are really important because it's really about that state almost before you go out.
Yeah.
I'm tired of messing up my life with overcomplicated moments and sticky situations, just when all those weird interpersonal vibes you have with people just make your life so sticky to move through. And I just had a point a couple of years ago, I was like, I kind of found myself in a position where I just feel weird with a lot of people in my life. There's so much unsaid things that I wish I could sort out, and I feel like I can't say them. And then I think another lyric is, you're right, I hold it in my body, little snakes inside a bottle writhing in my frustration. It's so you just feel like you've got insects inside you when you just, when you've got to go to work and you've had an issue with someone, you just feel like you've got insects in your body. Yeah, it's like that. It's like having sticky fingers. You can't really enjoy yourself if you've got a sticky hand. That's how I feel like weird interpersonal issues are, and that's something that through Eusexua I've been able to let go of a lot of things and just let go of a lot of hurt and judgment on myself and other people with things that have just not gone the right way. Yeah.
So would it be fair to say that confronting those things or letting them out in the open could be another form of Eusexua feeling, to be in that moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think that without working through those things you can't find Eusexua.
Yeah, right.
Either working through those things with the people that are there, or working through them separately and deciding to let it go without resolution, which is also a way of handling things. I've found. I've
been lucky enough, I think, to see every era of your live experience, and you're always at the bleeding edge of innovation in that space, to be honest. Obviously the pedigree and history speaks for itself in terms of your movement and your areas of mastery and everything that you've touched, and I love the way you share those journeys on social media. That's one really positive thing that comes out of social media and those channels is, watching you in the journeys of each process. But the live shows really have inspired so many other people as well, and so I'm excited to see what you're going to do this time.
Yeah, I honestly have no idea. I never have any idea before I start, but I'm heading into rehearsals in 1 week, so...
Amazing.
Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
And what's the process? You basically have trusted people that you do movement with, that you bounce ideas off, or how does that work?
Yeah, I sort of have a vague kind of feeling that I'm trying to get to, and then, I'll have heads of department that help me kind of pull things together. But when I do my tours, I'm really in the trenches. I'm really in the trenches with everyone doing it. And I'm about to solidly go in for 5 weeks starting like beginning of February. So.
I guess one challenge that's going to be interesting to look at is, embodying the spirit of Eusexua. And yet, as a visual artist and someone who's a visual artist as well as a recording artist, everyone's instinct to want to film you and take pictures and take video in the live experience. And like, how do you find that balance of people being in the moment and not living it through their phones? Not that I'm offering a solution, but it's an interesting one, isn't it?
I mean, I don't sweat it too much. I feel like there'll be moments where hopefully people will be so in it they won't want to, and if there's something really amazing they can. Like, we'll see. I'm not always like a everyone put your phone down type of person, totally. But I think there's definitely been moments in my career where I've like been able to sing a song and it penetrates,
Any tips for those of us that want to switch out off grid for a minute? Have you ever managed to do it for a while?
Yeah, I do think you've got to delete all the addictive apps off your phone.
Yeah, it's that simple.
Yeah, you just got to get them off, really. I've actually I've gone through phases of having dumb phones, like 2.
Oh yeah, how did it work out?
Well, where I'm at now, which I've not set up yet, it's purely just because I've been busy, but I bought like a really old Apple phone.
Okay.
And so I just have I will just put Uber and necessity things on there and have nothing else, but all of my numbers and everything, and just have it as a second phone so I can go out and just have this little, it's not quite a burner, because I also did have a pigeon phone for a while as well, but I found it too hard to like text.
Yeah, exactly. This is the whole rabbit hole I've been going down recently.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Maybe I'll do that. You're going to do some raves, right?
Yeah. So I'm throwing a lot of raves this week.
And what, up and down the UK?
Yeah, we're going to Scotland, Manchester. Well, I said I want to go up and down England, meeting people and throwing raves.
And how can people come to those? How can people get tickets?
Through social media.
All right, cool.
Yeah, you can find it on my social media.
It's been great catching up with you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Lovely
Great to see you.
All right, take care.